It always feels good when it ends up like that. It could have ended up the wrong way, but it didn't. Lee Wood's got his WBA featherweight title back after a convincing points win over the very, very dangerous Mauricio Lara. Carl Froch, who's done so much good stuff for Nottingham boxing. You can now hand that baton over to Lee Wood. Ben Davison, who deserves so much praise. Ben, I want to start with you, just because, again, like 48 hours, 24 hours ago, there was, 50-50 whether this fight would take place. A lot of people were pointing the finger at you like, Ben, you need to do something. You said, no, we've got a game plan, we want to fight. Right decision in the end. Yeah, look, you can't always go into the details of things. Lee's a big featherweight, very, very big featherweight, and I knew there wouldn't be a weight disparity in there on the night once they got in there, and I was confident of that, and I didn't want to say too much, but if that fight wasn't to go to plan tonight, it wouldn't have been because of the weight, and I was confident Lee was going to put in a performance like that, and that's what he done. I've seen you do a performance like that, and I remember it against Arthur Abraham, where everyone expected you to go in there and be Carl Froch marauding, but you boxed to a game plan. And for me, it was one of your best performances. That was similar, wasn't it, where you boxed to a game plan?
I think I needed to be a little bit busier in my fight against Abraham, just to keep him off, because he's quite ruthless and relentless when he comes forward. I think he was unbeaten, and I think he had one technical draw, and he was a big knockout merchant, Abraham. I mean, as is Lara. Yeah. But I just think that Lara, after that second round knockdown that Lee Wood delivered clinically on the chin, I think that just took his heart away. I don't think he really wanted to get involved. It looked like he was setting certain shots up, and he looked a little bit intense. He had intention behind his work, but never kind of closed the show with the combinations. Lee Wood was just out of range and just out of reach, and just in range with that jab and then pouring that right hand just down the middle. And I think Lara was constantly thinking and constantly having to focus on where's Lee Wood. He didn't do much work, Lee. He didn't have to manoeuvre himself around much, just little work with the feet, little steps, little fakes, little bit of head movement, and then just one short, sharp counter. And then Lara's like thinking to himself, what can I do? I think he was going back to his corner round after round, thinking to himself, right, next round I'll get something going. Next round I'll start to work. And he could never get it going. And that's because of Lee Wood and because of you. And what you said there about being first a little bit more with Abraham, that was the adjustment we made going into this fight. I think Lee was waiting a little bit too long, knowing that Lara can be reckless. This time we turned around to Lee Wood and said, look, doesn't mean overly committing, but you need to be a little bit more busier, keep him locked up, keep him under threat, and not let him throw your time enough, because he creates a rhythm and then breaks it, and it's hard to time. There was a tiny little bit in round one, I thought, where Lee Wood just waited just a split second. You know, it's like in boxing, you can just sit there and wait, and it's only round one, round two, and as soon as he got rid of that and took a couple of little shots, he woke up, come back to his corner, listened to you, and then it was just clinical. And I don't want to say easy night's work, because he's in against someone who can knock him out at any stage of any round. The training camp's always tough, but he made it look easy. He made it look like he was in second gear, and there's so much more to come. So that's not taking anything away from Lee Wood. I was thinking tonight, if he goes in there and gets beat or knocked out, where does Lee Wood go from here? What's he got left in the tank? You know, how old is he now? 34 years old. 35 in a minute. As a featherweight at 9 stone, you think to yourself, right, he's about ready to draw the curtains. But that performance here shows you that we need to get him at the Nottingham Forest City Ground, and we probably need to get someone like Josh Warrington. Where's Eddie Hearn? Let's get Eddie Hearn. Where is he? Yeah, well, I was trying to put it on Eddie, wasn't I? Saying you have to do it. Because considering like his journey and what he's done, and the crowd, and a genuine crowd as well. He's obviously got that relationship with Forest fans. Very quickly on what you and Lee Wiley drew up, the plan to beat Lara, that stab to the body, he kept on doing it constantly. Was that something that you kind of saw from the first fight, or was it the weight cut that you knew Lara had, because you kept on drilling that to the body? It's a bit of both. Like, Lee Wood's a very heavy-handed lad, and that's what Carl was saying there, that Lara, he looked hesitant to actually let his hands go at times, and Lee was pushing him around at times just by the threat of Lee actually bringing him onto a shot. So, you know, the jab to the body, Lara was trying to counter it, so then Lee was then selling him the jab to the body, switching it up into a right hand upstairs. Lara's got a habit of switching off in between his work, knows what the moments to keep stabbing downstairs. You know, he comes over, big pizza, can of Coke after he weighs in, he doesn't do the weight properly, he doesn't rehydrate properly. Someone consistently going to the body, and he got stopped to the body before. We was on to that, and it was key to taking away the steam out of Lara so that he couldn't have a big surge in the end of the... You're so calm now. I have to be honest, I was ringside. I was, pardon my French, I was crapping myself. Honestly, because Lara, for me, I know what you're saying about he didn't look there. I thought he looked dangerous throughout.
even the last 30 seconds of round 12, I was thinking anything could whip over. Like, for me, he still looked like a guy that was trying to knock Lee out.
He is dangerous, and through my experience before, I've worked with fighters before going into the final rounds of world title fights, and of course it's going to be an anxious time for them when they're in against someone like an Arthur Abraham or a Maurizio Lara or Billy Joe Sake against an Andy Lee and people like that, that one shot can change the fight, and you've got 3 minutes to become a world champion. So it was important for me to...
Tyson Fury, Wilder 1.
Exactly. It was important for me not to put that across to Lee, remain calm, and the way we discussed the fight was we take it round by round tonight.
Carl, you mentioned Josh Warrington there, City Ground. That's the fight, isn't it, really? I know there'll be a mandatory called, and the WBA will call that mandatory, but surely Josh Warrington, Lee Wood, City Ground, half Forest, half Leeds. I can picture the atmosphere already. That's the fight to make.
And sometimes them fights with the atmosphere, and Josh Warrington being from Britain, it's a big fight, and it's a fight that the whole of the UK are going to get behind. And sometimes these fights are bigger than the belts, and I don't want to say he's just won his WBA belt back there, and that'll mean the world to him. But if you've got an awkward southpaw waiting for you, that's not a big name, and it's massive risk with no reward, you do have to look at it from a business point of view and say, right, what stage is he at his career? Does he want to turn down a massive payday in what will be an amazing fight, and a fight that either fight could win? I'm making Lee Wood a favourite in that fight, especially off the back of that. But Warrington will be coming in with different ideas. But yeah, that's a fight I think should happen.
Both guys have got 2 football teams behind them, so
be incredible.
Huge fight.
It easily sell out the City Ground. What does Lee do now, though? Does he take a long rest, go on holiday, chill out?
We'll go and celebrate. That's what we'll do.
Where are you going? Where are you going? Because I want to come.
Sure yet. After a tough fight, it's exhausting. Even when it's not physically hard, it's mentally draining. I don't know how some fighters do decide to go out, but
we've still done a massive camp.
Exactly, and the mental capacity that it takes to go for a fight like that. We'll probably just be back at a hotel, something to eat, and then we'll look at the situation. But it's a massively valid point that Carl makes there.
Ben, I don't want you to rank the fighters you've had, because I think that's going to be unfair. But I mean, Lee Wood must be special for you. Again, I spoke about him losing to Jazza Dickens. He's then come to you in Zhukan and Michael Conlon, getting knocked down and stopped by Maurizio Lara, then this one. It must feel good to know what you've done with this kid.
Yeah, but look, Lee deserves all the credit, because before he come to me, I remember Billy Joe telling me a story that it was like a 2-year period where he didn't box, but he was in the gym every single week, like he was fighting in 2 weeks' time. And when a mutual friend of ours mentioned Lee Wood to me, I saw a fight where he got hurt in the fight and he beat his chest, and that straight away said to me, he's got something. And how coachable he is, along with the character, the courage, the desire, the professional life.
He loves the sport, doesn't he?
He loves it.
I can remember being in my amateur boxing gym and seeing Lee as a young kid. I mean, what is he, 34? I'm 45, so he's more than 10 years younger than me. So when I was like 20, 21 as an amateur, still boxing, I didn't turn pro till I was 25. Lee Wood was like 12, 13 years old. You know what I mean? Maybe 11, 12, if my maths is right. But that's a young kid, just starting secondary school. And I've always looked at him from then and saw the movement and saw that and think, you know, you look at these fighters and say, his special is he's got talent, and he's showing now with this world talent with these shows.
To bring it out of him.
Exactly.
Yeah, and he certainly got it. A fantastic performance there from Lee Wood, and he's got his belt back, the new WBA featherweight champion. Hopefully we do see those big fights against Josh Warrington or others at the City Ground. We're going to take a pause. No big time boxing next week, but the week after, another one of our world champions in action, Mr. Sonny Edwards, OVO Arena, Wembley. Should be a very, very special night. Make sure you stay locked into DAZN.